You know that feeling when you close a winning trade and immediately start scanning for the next one? Or when you lose money and feel this burning need to make it back right away? That urge you're feeling isn't just excitement. It's the beginning of a psychological spiral that's destroyed more trading accounts than any market crash ever could. Here's what nobody tells you when you start trading. The market doesn't care about your emotions, your bills, or how badly you need that win. But your brain is wired to chase, to react, and to seek instant gratification. And that's exactly why overtrading is so dangerous. Most traders think overtrading is just a bad habit, something you fix with more discipline. But what I'm about to share with you goes much deeper than that. We're talking about psychological damage that affects your decision-making, your confidence, and even your life outside of trading. I've watched countless traders blow up profitable accounts not because they didn't know how to trade, but because they couldn't stop trading. The psychological cost of overtrading isn't just about the money you lose, it's about who you become in the process. Let's start with what overtrading actually looks like. It's not always obvious. You might think you're being proactive or dedicated, but here's the reality. Overtrading happens when you're taking trades outside your strategy, when you're sitting in front of screens for 12 hours straight, when you're trading because you're bored or anxious, rather than because you see a genuine opportunity. The market rewards patience and punishes impulsiveness, yet we do the opposite. We open positions we don't fully believe in, we chase price movements that already happened, we convince ourselves that this time will be different, that we've spotted something others missed. And here's where it gets really dangerous. Every time you overtrade, you're not just risking money, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching yourself that trading is about action rather than precision, about quantity rather than quality. You're building neural pathways that will make it harder and harder to sit on your hands when you should. The financial loss is immediate and obvious. You can see it in your account balance. But the psychological cost? That's invisible at first. It accumulates slowly, like water filling a bucket one drop at a time. You don't realize how heavy it's gotten until you're already drowning. Think about the last time you overtraded. Really think about it. How did you feel before you clicked that button? Probably anxious, maybe frustrated, possibly desperate. Now think about how you felt after, especially if that trade went against you. That shame, that anger at yourself, that voice in your head saying you should have known better. That cycle of negative emotions isn't just uncomfortable, it's corrosive. It eats away at your confidence, your self-trust, and your ability to think clearly. And the worst part? The more you overtrade, the more you need to overtrade to feel like you're actually doing something. This is the trap that nobody warns you about. Not your online course instructor, not the YouTube traders flexing their wins, not the brokers who profit from every trade you make. They don't tell you that overtrading isn't just a technical mistake, it's a psychological wound that keeps reopening itself. So if you've been struggling with this, if you've felt that compulsion to keep trading even when you know you shouldn't, understand this. You're not weak, and you're not alone. You're human. And your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do in an environment it was never designed for. The question is, are you ready to understand what's really happening inside your head when you overtrade? Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that awareness might just save your trading career. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your brain when you start down the overtrading path. This isn't some abstract concept. There's real neuroscience behind why overtrading becomes so hard to stop. Your brain has a reward system built around dopamine. This chemical gets released when you experience something pleasurable or exciting. In nature, this system helped our ancestors survive by rewarding behaviors like finding food or avoiding danger. But in trading, this same system becomes your enemy. Every time you place a trade, your brain releases dopamine. Not when you win, when you place the trade. The anticipation itself is the reward. This is the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive, and it's why traders often feel a rush just from entering a position. Here's where it gets worse. When you win a trade, you get another dopamine hit. Your brain loves this and wants more. But when you lose, something even more insidious happens.
Your brain interprets the loss as a reward being taken away, which creates a strong motivation to try again immediately. It's not about making money anymore. It's about chasing that feeling. The more you overtrade, the more you're conditioning your brain to crave this cycle. You're literally creating an addiction to the act of trading itself. And just like any addiction, you need more and more activity to get the same feeling. One trade becomes 5. 5 becomes 20. Before you know it, you're trading continuously just to feel normal. But dopamine is only part of the story. Overtrading also triggers your stress response. Every trade you take is a decision under uncertainty, and your brain interprets this as potential danger. Your cortisol levels rise. Your amygdala, the fear center of your brain, becomes hyperactive. When you're in this state, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational decision-making, starts to shut down. This is why overtrade sessions often feel like a blur. You're literally not thinking clearly. Your brain has shifted into survival mode, and survival mode doesn't care about your trading plan or risk management. The psychological impact extends beyond the trading session itself. Chronic stress from overtrading affects your sleep quality. You lie awake replaying trades, planning tomorrow's moves, or worrying about positions. Poor sleep further impairs your decision-making ability, creating a vicious cycle. Your emotional regulation suffers too. Traders who overtrade report higher levels of irritability, mood swings, and emotional exhaustion. You might snap at loved ones over minor things. You might feel emotionally numb or detached. These aren't character flaws, they're symptoms of psychological strain. There's also something called decision fatigue. Your brain has a limited capacity for making quality decisions each day. Every trade you take, every chart you analyze, every position you consider depletes this resource. When you overtrade, you burn through your decision-making capacity rapidly. By the time you actually encounter a genuine A+ setup, you're mentally exhausted. You either miss it entirely or you execute it poorly because your brain simply doesn't have the energy to process it properly. This is why many traders find that their best trades happen early in the day or early in the week before overtrading fatigue sets in. The memory systems in your brain also get affected. Overtrading creates a blur of experiences that your brain struggles to process and learn from. You can't identify patterns in your mistakes because everything runs together. This makes it nearly impossible to improve because improvement requires clear feedback, and overtrading destroys the clarity of that feedback. Perhaps most damaging is what overtrading does to your sense of self-efficacy, your belief in your own abilities. Each impulsive trade that fails reinforces the narrative that you can't control yourself. Each time you break your rules, you're sending yourself the message that your word means nothing. This erosion of self-trust is devastating. Trading requires confidence in your analysis and your execution. When you've proven to yourself repeatedly that you can't follow your own plan, how can you trust yourself to execute the next trade properly? You can't, and that doubt creeps into every decision you make. The psychological cost of overtrading isn't just about what happens during market hours. It's about the emotional spiral that takes over your entire life. Let me paint you a picture of what this really looks like. You wake up already thinking about the markets. Before you even get out of bed, you're checking your phone for overnight price movements. Your first emotion of the day isn't gratitude or peace, it's anxiety about what you might have missed. You sit down at your desk with good intentions. Today will be different. Today you'll stick to your plan. But within an hour, you've already taken 2 trades that weren't quite setups. You tell yourself they were close enough, but deep down, you know the truth. One of those trades goes against you. Now you're frustrated. The frustration morphs into determination. You're going to make that money back. This is where the spiral really begins, and this is where the psychological damage starts accumulating. You start scanning every time frame, every instrument, looking for an opportunity to recover. Your chest feels tight, your breathing gets shallow. You're not analyzing anymore, you're hunting. And when you're hunting, you're not trading, you're gambling. Let's say you do manage to make back that loss, or even turn a small profit for the day. You'd think this would feel good, right? But it doesn't. Instead of satisfaction, you feel relief. Instead of confidence, you feel exhausted. And there's this nagging voice in the back of your mind saying, you just got lucky. This is what nobody tells you. Even when overtrading works out, it doesn't feel like winning. It feels like surviving. And that survival mindset is poisonous for a trader because trading isn't about survival. It's about executing a process with discipline and patience.
The emotional toll extends to your relationships. Your partner asks you a simple question and you snap at them because you're still mentally replaying that losing trade from 3 hours ago. Your friends invite you out, but you can't commit because what if there's a trading opportunity? What if you miss the setup that could make your week? You start isolating yourself, not because you want to, but because trading has consumed so much of your emotional bandwidth that you have nothing left to give to other people. The irony is brutal. You got into trading for freedom, for financial independence, maybe to spend more time with loved ones. But overtrading turns trading into a prison. There's also the shame component that traders rarely discuss. When you overtrade and lose, you feel ashamed, not just disappointed, genuinely ashamed. You knew better. You've read the books, watched the videos, made the promises to yourself, yet you did it anyway. This shame is particularly toxic because most traders suffer in silence. You can't tell your family because they already think trading is gambling. You can't tell your friends because they wouldn't understand. So you carry this weight alone, and it gets heavier with every incident. The spiral continues with something psychologists call learned helplessness. After enough cycles of setting rules and breaking them, of promising yourself you'll stop and then doing it again, you start to believe you simply can't change. Your brain begins to accept overtrading as inevitable, as just who you are as a trader. This belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe you can't stop, you won't even try to stop. Or when you do try, you'll give up at the first sign of difficulty because deep down you've already accepted defeat. Now that you understand the psychological damage overtrading causes, let's talk about how to break free. This isn't going to be a list of generic tips like set a max number of trades or use a timer. We're going deeper than that because surface-level solutions don't fix psychological problems. The first step is acknowledging that overtrading is a symptom, not the disease itself. The disease is what's driving you to overtrade in the first place. For some traders, it's boredom. For others, it's fear of missing out. For many, it's a desperate need to prove something to themselves or others. You need to get brutally honest with yourself about what's really going on. Sit down with a journal and write out the truth. What are you running from? What are you trying to prove? What void are you trying to fill with trading activity? These aren't comfortable questions, but avoiding them keeps you stuck. Once you've identified your underlying drivers, you can start addressing them directly. If you're trading out of boredom, the solution isn't more discipline. It's finding other engaging activities outside of trading hours. Your brain needs stimulation, and if trading is your only source, you'll always be drawn back to it. If you're trading from fear of missing out, you need to shift your entire perspective on what trading is. Trading isn't about catching every move. It's about catching the moves that align with your edge. The market will give you thousands of opportunities over your career. Missing a few good ones this week means nothing. For those trading to prove something, this is perhaps the hardest pattern to break because the need for validation is deeply rooted. But understand this, the market will never validate you the way you want it to. Even the most successful traders have losing periods. Basing your self-worth on trading outcomes is like building a house on quicksand. Now let's talk about practical restructuring of your trading environment. Your trading space should be designed to prevent overtrading, not enable it. This means removing temptation wherever possible. Consider trading only during specific market sessions that align with your strategy. If your edge works best during the first 2 hours of the US session, there's no reason to be at your desk outside those hours. Close your platform. Literally shut it down. Don't give yourself the option to just check quickly because we both know where that leads. Set up what I call friction points. These are intentional obstacles between you and placing a trade. Before you can execute, you must write down the setup, the risk, the reason, and the plan. This sounds simple,
But this 30-second pause can be the difference between an impulsive trade and a deliberate decision. Another powerful tool is the trading journal, but not the way most people use it. Don't just record what you did, record how you felt before, during, and after each trade. Over time, you'll start seeing patterns in your emotional states that predict overtrading episodes. This awareness alone can help you interrupt the pattern. You also need to redefine what productivity means in trading. In most areas of life, doing more equals achieving more. In trading, this relationship is inverted. The best traders often take the fewest trades. They wait, they prepare, they execute only when everything aligns. Start measuring yourself not by how many trades you took, but by how many bad trades you avoided. Every time you recognize the urge to overtrade and successfully resist it, that's a win. Celebrate it as such. You're rewiring your brain to associate restraint with success rather than action with success. Consider implementing a cooling-off protocol. After any losing trade or after any day where you feel emotionally charged, step away from the markets for a set period. This could be 24 hours or 48 hours or whatever works for you. The key is creating space between your emotional reaction and your next trading decision. Finally, and this is crucial, get support. Talk to other traders who struggle with this. Join a community where people are honest about the psychological challenges. The isolation feeds the problem. Connection and accountability help break it.
The ultimate goal isn't just to stop overtrading. It's to build a completely different relationship with trading, one that's sustainable, healthy, and actually enjoyable. Let me share what that looks like and how to get there.
First, you need to accept that trading is not your identity. You are not a trader. You are a person who trades. This might seem like semantics, but it's actually profound. When trading becomes your entire identity, every loss feels like a personal failure. Every missed opportunity feels like you're failing at being you. But when trading is just something you do, an activity among many others in your life, it loses its power over your emotional state. A bad trading day becomes just that, a bad day at one activity. It doesn't define your worth or your competence as a human being. This shift requires actively cultivating other parts of your life, your relationships, your health, your hobbies, your personal growth. These aren't distractions from trading. They're what make trading sustainable. The traders who last decades in this business are the ones who have rich, full lives outside of the markets. You also need to reframe what success looks like. Success isn't about how much money you made today or this week. Success is about whether you followed your process. Did you stick to your plan? Did you manage your risk appropriately? Did you make decisions from a clear mental state? These are the metrics that actually matter. When you define success this way, something interesting happens. You stop needing the market to cooperate to feel good about yourself. You can have a losing day and still succeed because you executed your process flawlessly. This removes so much psychological pressure and makes overtrading far less tempting. Another crucial element is developing patience as an actual skill, not just a virtue you aspire to. Patience in trading means being comfortable with inaction. It means being okay with watching the market without participating. It means trusting that your opportunity will come. Practice this deliberately. Set aside time to just observe the markets without the ability to trade. Watch price action, study patterns, learn, but don't execute. Train your brain that watching and waiting is also valuable trading time. The trader who can sit in front of their screen for 4 hours and take 0 trades because nothing qualified is demonstrating elite-level skill. You should also regularly audit your why. Why are you trading? If the honest answer is that you need the money or you're trying to get rich quick, you're setting yourself up for psychological torture. Money is a byproduct of good trading, not the goal. Trade because you genuinely enjoy the challenge, the analysis, the game of probabilities. If you don't enjoy it, find something else to do with your capital.
Let me be clear about something. Breaking free from overtrading doesn't mean you'll never struggle with it again. You will. There will be days when the urge comes back strong. The difference is that you'll recognize it for what it is. You'll have tools to deal with it, and you'll be kind to yourself in the process. Self-compassion is perhaps the most underrated tool in a trader's arsenal. When you slip up, when you overtrade despite your best intentions, beating yourself up doesn't help. It just adds more negative emotion to an already charged situation. Instead, acknowledge what happened, understand why it happened, adjust if needed, and move forward. The psychological cost of overtrading is real, and it's severe. It damages your confidence, your decision-making ability, your emotional health, and your relationships. But here's the empowering truth. You're not stuck with it. You can change. You can build new patterns. You can develop a healthier relationship with trading. It starts with awareness. It continues with honest self-examination. It requires restructuring your environment and your definitions of success. And it demands patience, both with the markets and with yourself. Trading is a long game. The goal isn't to maximize every single day or week. The goal is to still be here, trading profitably and enjoying the process years from now. That only happens when you protect your psychological capital as fiercely as you protect your financial capital. So, if you've recognized yourself in what we've discussed, if you felt the weight of overtrading's psychological cost, know that today can be different, not because you'll suddenly become perfectly disciplined, but because you now understand what you're really fighting against and why it matters. The market will be here tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. You don't need to catch every move. You just need to be healthy enough, clear-headed enough, and patient enough to catch the ones that matter. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, share it with another trader who might be struggling. We're all in this together, trying to navigate the psychological challenges that nobody warned us about. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.